Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Wehry Weekly History and Entertainment News. It's been a very busy 2 weeks ever since my 4th of July episode. Many businesses have either reopened, began to reopen, or canceled their 2020 seasons altogether. It's a very strange time we live in today. First, it's time for this week's trivia question, which will be answered at the end of the show. This week's question is, which former late-night host directed the comedy Irresistible, released on demand on June 26th? Now, for this week's local entertainment headlines. The city of Pittsfield has decided to cancel the popular Third Thursdays for 2020. This summer would have marked the 14th year of the event, which draws thousands to the downtown Pittsfield area for food, music, and shopping and entertainment. In a prepared statement from Pittsfield Mayor Linda Tyre and the Office of Cultural Development, Tyre said, quote, "While there is a possibility that street festivals may begin in Phase 4 of the Reopening Massachusetts plan, the magnitude of planning, organizing, implementing, and hosting a Third Thursday is more than we ought to undertake at this time," end quote. This is a major financial blow to the city of Pittsfield, which has already canceled multiple arts and entertainment performances. As Massachusetts is currently experiencing a downward trend in COVID-19 hospitalizations and positive tests, Governor Charlie Baker began Stage 2 of Phase 2 of the Reopening Massachusetts plan. This plan allows restaurants to resume indoor dining services. Under the first stage, restaurants could only service outdoors. Among the many rules for indoor dining are requiring tables to be 6 feet apart, limiting parties to 6 or fewer guests, and no seating at bars inside the restaurants. These are just a few of the guidelines restaurants must meet. Visit the website shown here for more information. It is important to note that just because these restaurants can be open doesn't mean that they are open. Make sure to call restaurants ahead of time to see if they're open. This is doubly important because some restaurants will only allow you to eat there if you make a reservation. Additionally, nail salons, massage and tattoo parlors, and personal training services can open under Phase 2, Stage 2. Again, just because it can be open doesn't mean that it is. On a special note, the town of Great Barrington is allowing 1 lane of Railroad Street for outdoor dining and music. Due to the closing of arts and entertainment venues, many of these businesses are looking for outside grants. Over the past few weeks, 15 nonprofit humanities in the Berkshires were awarded a combined total of $77,500 in COVID-19 relief funding from Mass Humanities. These grants range from $2,500 to $10,000. According to its website, Mass Humanities, quote, conducts and supports programs that use history, literature, philosophy, and the other humanities disciplines to enhance and improve civic life throughout Massachusetts. Some of the venues that I've discussed previously that received the grant included Barrington Stage Company in Pittsfield, the Berkshire Museum, and the Norman Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge, all of which have earned $10,000. The following venues have all received $2,500 in grant money: Tamarick Hollow Nature and Cultural Center in Windsor, the Artist Book Foundation in North Adams, Berkshire Community Radio Alliance in Great Barrington, the Susan B. Anthony Birthplace Museum in Adams, Berkshire County Historical Society in Pittsfield, West Stockbridge Historical Society, and Clinton Church Restoration in Great Barrington. The next group of venues received $5,000. Stockbridge Library Association, Lenox Library Association, Wham Theater in Lenox, and Ventfort Hall Association in Lenox. Finally, Hancock Shaker Village in Pittsfield received a $10,000 grant. Last but not least, 2 other Berkshire arts and entertainment venues received grants from the National Endowment for the Humanities Federal CARES Act Economic Stabilization Program. The Clark Institute received a $166,000 grant to help support online projects, while the Edith Warton Mount in Lenox received the maximum grant amount of $300,000 to help support staffing and online projects. It has been a very difficult year for arts and entertainment businesses throughout the county. Hopefully, these grants will help them get back on their feet once they are allowed to reopen. It's now time for this week's history portion of WWHEN. Our stop this week is the Houghton Mansion, located on 172 Church Street in North Adams. This place has a dark and creepy history and is well known across the state as being potentially haunted. The story goes like this. The Houghton Mansion was built in 1890 by Albert Houghton, the first mayor of North Adams. Houghton lived in the house from 1890 until 1914. That year, he suffered a series of tragedies. First, his wife Cordelia, daughter Mary, and family friend Sybil were killed in an automobile accident in Bennington, Vermont. The family chauffeur, John Witters, who was behind the wheel when the accident occurred, was cleared of any wrongdoing. However, Witters was so devastated by the event that he took his own life the next day. These events took a massive toll on Albert Houghton's mental health, and he died just 10 days after the accident. Then, the house was lent to surviving members of the Houghton family until 1926. They sold the mansion to the Freemasons, and the mansion became a Masonic lodge. It was after the Freemasons bought it that rumors of ghosts began. Masons who have worked there reported hearing several eerie noises, such as the ruffling of papers in rooms that were supposedly empty, and reports of doors opening when nobody but the servants were in the mansion. The owners then decided to turn it into a tourist destination for people interested in ghosts and the supernatural. It became so popular that the series Ghost Hunters chose to investigate the house for paranormal activities. The Houghton Mansion remained one of North Adams' most unique tourism destinations until 2017. That year, the Lafayette Greylock Freemasons sold the mansion to hotel developer Bellepin Svensson for $160,000. Many of the artwork and photographs that were in the mansion were sold to the North Adams Public Library. While it's no longer a popular tourist destination, it still has supernatural and haunted aspects to it. Svensson has not yet decided what he wants to do with the property. Now, for this week's movie news headlines. Regal Cinemas has announced its plans to reopen theaters nationwide by July 10th with new safety precautions, such as limited seating and social distancing regulations. This includes the former Berkshire Mall in Lanesboro. Other local theaters, including the Beacon Cinemas in Pittsfield, the Triplex in Great Barrington, the North Adams Movieplex, and Images Cinema in Williamstown, have all stated they would like to reopen closer to the middle or end of July. There are many questions still to be answered for these smaller theaters, such as the safety precautions being taken, capacity limits, employee training, and the possible removal of seats, much like Barrington Stage Company did for their theater stage. Another option is drive-in theaters. Great Barrington officials have okayed the Wehry Performing Arts Center's bid for drive-in theaters. The town agreed to allow the theater to project drive-in movies in the parking lot at the Daniel Arts Center at Bard College of Simon's Rock every Thursday through Saturday. A start date has not been set. Patrons will have to remain in their cars, but they can leave for on-site concessions and portable bathroom use. The cost per car is $25. Stay tuned to WWHEN for an opening date and movies playing at the Wehry Drive-In. One of the biggest issues the movie theaters have is what movies to play. Since releases are getting pushed around constantly, theaters will probably need to resort to play classic movies or blockbuster movies of the past. This is where Unhinged comes in. It is planning on being the first scheduled movie to play in Regal Theaters on July 10th. This movie is an action horror film that deals with something all too common in today's society: road rage. Unhinged stars Russell Crowe, Jimmy Simpson, Gabrielle Bateman, and Karen Pistorius. Anything could change on Unhinged's release date and where it will be released, so stay tuned. Another movie that was released recently was Irresistible. It came out on demand and in theaters that were open on June 26th, though not in the Berkshires. This is a political comedy, which might be perfect escapism for some people during these crazy times. This movie deals with a Democratic strategist who helps a retired veteran run for mayor in a small Midwestern town. Irresistible stars Steve Carell, Rose Byrne, and Chris Cooper. This movie also provides the answer to this week's trivia question. As a reminder, this week's question was, which former late-night host directed the comedy Irresistible, released on demand on June 26th? The answer is Jon Stewart. The former host of The Daily Show has become a fixture in Hollywood after his tenure ended. Irresistible marks Stewart's second directorial effort. His first, Rosewater, was released in 2014. That ends this week's episode of Wehry Weekly History and Entertainment News. You can watch this week's episode on PCTV Channel 1301 and CTSB TV Channel 1301. Visit both channels' websites, shown here, for all airtimes. Additionally, stay tuned to NBCTC Channel 1301 at 7:30 on Tuesdays in North Adams, Clarksburg, and Cheshire, as they have agreed to pick up my show as well. Thank you.